Headshots, how you doing? Welcome back. Day 36 of the Need for Speed Marathon. The best Most Wanted ever made. Let's see if we can fix Most Wanted's biggest problems. Yeah, we got a lot of improvements with this mod. So the delayed steering is gone, which is extremely noticeable. So you're not gonna feel like you're gonna have to deal with input delay all the time. And we also maxed out the car's crash resistance, which will stop you from crashing out on the smallest things all the time. Which is actually one of the things that bothered me the most personally in this game, because, you know, for a game that plays like Burnout, you shouldn't that easily crash out all the time. I love this game, it's such a good soundtrack. I don't know how you guys felt about this game when it released. Actually, I do know exactly how you felt. You felt betrayed, and so did I. This was everything but Most Wanted from 2005. It feels like the second coming of Burnout Paradise, with a few downsides, if you ask me. With this Modpack, I do like it. With this Modpack, the game becomes so much better. Very different experience. Don't you love these cutscenes? I wonder who at Criterion thought this is a good idea. What do I like about this game? Well, it's an alright Burnout game. I don't think there's any redeeming qualities of seeing this as a Need for Speed title. Right, the only thing this Burnout game has is, you know, licensed cars. Other than that, it's just a Burnout game. The weird thing is, they managed to make Burnout feel weird, if that makes sense. Right, they had Burnout Revenge, Burnout Paradise, which worked really well, and it was well received by the community as well. And then they changed up a bunch of things to make the handling more difficult, so it just felt worse. You know, as an arcade racing game, it just felt worse than Burnout Paradise, and nobody likes the downgrade, right? If they actually committed fully to the Burnout feeling of this game, then I think people would have been fine, right? If they just had another Burnout Paradise with, you know, licensed cars and a blacklist, that would have been less frustrating than this mixture of two games, where it's neither Need for Speed and it's a not very good Burnout either. So yeah, if you guys wanted to re-experience this game with a lot less shenanigans, I do recommend this mod pack on Discord. See what I mean? The stability. You can scrape things now and you're not gonna get immediately wrecked from it. It's so much better. At the very least, I would say it's worth playing. And you know, as someone said earlier, good that they're still making something, right? I don't want a gaming atmosphere where everything is just Forza Horizon and that's it for racing games, you know what I mean? I don't wanna be in that situation. So regardless how much you like or don't like the crew, it's good to have competition. And I think the crew actually gives something to the players that they won't get from Forza Horizon, Gran Turismo. I don't think anyone plays Forza Motorsport. Should we do the M3 GTR for fun? Steam? I'm pretty sure this game was out on Steam. Oh, that was a strong hit. Get his ass. Hello. See, you still get crash cutscenes. You just need enough speed and hard enough object. It's a lot harder than I thought it would be. Oh shit. Hey guys, Kuru here. Check out Instant Gaming for cheap game keys. Click the link in the description below. Did I get the checkpoint? Oh, I did. You kinda helped me slow down there. What do you guys think of these cutscenes? At first it looked like he had massive rubber band and then it wiped him out. Very nice. We should all like max upgrade a Golf and then just beat everyone online. Just give everyone the reputation that the Golf is better. Yeah. You know what problem this game has? It's the same as it is in Payback. Sometimes your front wheels lift off the ground and you just lose all of your grip. So did the Hennessy Venom end up being the fastest car in the game? There we go. What's up? What's up with the physics on this thing? You know what this livery reminds me of? That shit that they put into the Hot Pursuit remaster. Like, the liveries in there were also pretty weak. The funny thing is, these liveries are still better. Like the abstract one, for example, is still better than what they did in the run. It's actually quite a bit faster than the Skyline. So this is when you are basically invulnerable to crashing out. You know, that makes it feel a lot more like Most Wanted 2005, right? Oh, yeah, true. They called the event High Stakes, you know, based on the Need for Speed title. Then they put all the legendary cars in here. You know, this is one of those jumps that doesn't make sense. If you have a somewhat fast car... Oops. And you take that jump, you're guaranteed to crash out, right? They didn't even bother to add hiding spots. Was that really too much to ask for? They could have put the hiding spots close to the check spots. That would actually be a really cool way to discover check spots if you think about it. So every time you escape from the cops, the game will show you another check spot where the hiding spot is. I wouldn't hate that mechanic if I'm honest. But the server shut down? No, they should still be on. Or is it? I'm actually not sure about that. Wait, they shut down Rivals. Doesn't that mean it's not available automatically? Because it's the older game, doesn't it automatically mean the servers are down? That's interesting. They kept the servers online for 2012 game, they turned off the servers for the 2013 game. But I assume it primarily comes down to how many people are still playing, right? Because if most people stop playing Rivals, then there's obviously no reason to keep the servers running. Good job, autopilot. You think they know that I'm here? Oh, they actually do. I mean, to be fair, there was some kind of a line of sight to me. At the same time, I'm pretty sure they're just coded to know exactly where you are. Oh wow, they actually got me. That's a rarity. Them actually busting me. Let's have a bit of a joyride here. Actually, how long does it take to run 5 kilometers? Would be fun if it started a timer every time you set a GPS. I think that would be a fun gameplay feature. That way you can basically time trial yourself on anything. Like you set a GPS somewhere on the map and then you're basically challenging yourself. Okay, and now how long does it take me to get there? Yeah, that's what I'm believing as well. Like I don't think Terra 5 ever came out of concept. The thing is, there's always like leaks from big companies, and usually most of the stuff that was possible to be leaked has already been leaked. For example, I'm not even sure if they still have the source code for some of their games. Right? Maybe the number one reason they haven't remastered Most Wanted yet is because they don't have the source code anymore. You know, maybe they kept it on a handful of machines that got decommissioned and nobody backed them up, and you know, it might be gone. And that happens very often too. They have like a concept and then it becomes something else entirely. Dude, I love this. I love this mod that stops you from crashing, because then you get these weird physics moments that actually are quite fun if you ask me. You know, anything that makes a game more interesting is a good mod for me. Even if it completely beats the purpose of whatever the developer intended. If it makes it more interesting, then you know, I'm all for it. Yeah, it's the high stakes race again. Oops. I won't try someone. Reading the chat and trying to do oncoming doesn't work that well. In my opinion, it's not. These cutscenes. This is Most Wanted, it must be a 10 out of 10. That's what we all thought when this game released. I think the people that enjoyed this game the most were the ones that didn't play the original. If you somehow got away with not playing Most Wanted 2005, this was a lot less of a disappointment. For everyone else, there was blood in the streets. You hated this. I think the best mindset to have before playing this game is, alright, here's a new Burnout. And it's a lot easier today than back then. Back then, you know, people were disappointed by Undercover and 2 shift games, right? Think about that for a second. People, Need for Speed fans, were already damaged by 2 shift games and Undercover. And a lot of people didn't like Pro Street either, so just the notion of, oh, Most Wanted is coming back. People got excited. I got hella excited. Because it hasn't really changed over 20 years, right? Most Wanted is a lot of people's favorites and everybody wants a sequel. And they thought this was a sequel. The number one thing this game was a shatterer of dreams. The game wasn't bad when online was active, but it wasn't great. I just was bothered by this game in a general sense, so I didn't even play multiplayer in this game. I actually went back to Burnout Paradise. I enjoyed the racing more than all the game modes that they added with this game. So I just ended up playing, yeah, Burnout Paradise instead. I had more fun with that. A lot of Blacklist to beat. Actually, no, they're called the Most Wanted. They added a sort of Blacklist to this game. And they're called the 10 Most Wanted. It's not even 15, right? 10 faceless bosses for you to beat. I mean, it was better than nothing, right? And a lot of other racing games had nothing, so you know, this wasn't the worst experience. Let's be honest. Yeah, with this mod you can hit the cop roadblocks like you would in Most Wanted 2005. Like, this plays so much more than 2005 now. I'm not sure if brake to drift, but your car actually packs a punch that you can do this to the roadblocks. Sure, you get a slowdown, but you don't crash out every time, which in my opinion was really boring in this game. Ruined the flow of the game. But yeah, this game was just another one in a series of disappointing Need for Speeds for a lot of people, right? A lot of people didn't like Pro Street, The Run, no one liked the shift games. Undercover was really broken. Like, it's not like the last Need for Speed broke their neck, right? Like, they kinda started cracking the neck a decade ago, right? It all started to crumble with the release of Undercover. You could argue that you saw some of the cracks already with Pro Street, that it wasn't, you know, super intuitive to race in that game, which was my experience too. What I do like about the Need for Speed franchise nowadays is that we just have a huge community trying to make these games better, you know, play as they should have in the first place, or just fix major bugs that the developers couldn't. You know what I really love about EA right now and Battlefield is that they made a game for the fans and it's breaking all records, right? They swallowed their pride, and instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, they just give the fans what they want. And they got the highest concurrent player count for a new game ever, right? They beat Call of Duty by a really big margin, like 50% more players. And I guarantee you, and I will put my hand into the fire for this, if you do the same thing with Need for Speed, it's gonna work. The thing is, I'm not the biggest fan of the handling in TDU Solar Crown either. The cars feel very floaty, especially at high speeds. In my opinion, if they want to go for a realistic handling model, they should do a Forza Horizon. Stop asking for Forza physics. I mean, don't you think that would be a good fit for Need for Speed though? Like, if you go all the way back to Most Wanted, in my opinion, that is Forza Horizon. Before Forza Horizon. Like, Most Wanted to me feels like Forza Horizon. You have physics that are slightly more grippy than the real thing, and it all feels realistic. Additionally, they have realistic drifting. That's what Forza Horizon has on Most Wanted. And let's be honest, when it comes to handling, even if they make another version of Heat's handling, I would be okay with it. Heat's handling was alright. It's one of the few handling models where I'm okay if, you know, the game suddenly gives you a shit ton of grip from high speeds and you have brake to drift. It just works in that game way better. Drifting in Heat? Even drifting in Heat felt better than drifting in Unbound. Why am I not a cop? I should be able to bust this guy. Oh, he just respawned. I'm too slow. I'm too slow to take his car down. I gotta be honest, I kinda hope that GTA 6 is gonna be a good racing game. Because GTA 6 is gonna be really popular, so if I do racing in a popular game, at least it's gonna create some viewership. But we do play a lot of really old games, and obviously it's extremely hard to find new viewers that way, because there's only a handful. Kid, drive up here. There's only a handful of people. Wow, that looks bugged. There's only a handful of people that are still interested in classic games, right? My favorite GTA? Probably 4. How about you guys? Last City? I know there's a lot of San Andreas fans out there, that's for sure. Especially Burnout has a lot of those. And one thing that definitely needs to come back for any kind of arcade racing game is some cool jumps. We managed to do it. I was wondering if I can finally manage to crash my car. Could you imagine? Could you imagine the hype around an actual Most Wanted sequel? The thing is, the vehicle combat niche is a lot smaller, I would say, than people that are interested in arcade racing. But that being said, you're right, there's definitely more car combat things out there. I wasn't sure I can squeeze the car there. I like it so much that I can actually use the wall. Because this is a game where you drive so fast that, in my opinion, it just makes sense to play with the walls. Yeah, Marp, I think at some level, on some level, they, in my opinion, they are trying to avoid being called out for making a worse Most Wanted. You know what I mean? Like if they actually make a game like Black Box and then it's worse, I don't think they want to get called out for it on some level at least. I think they have a lot of respect for the successful Need for Speed titles. So if they actually were to, you know, take a chance on any of those, I think in the back of their heads they're definitely thinking of, okay, but what if it's not very good, you know? What if they don't like what we make? What if it's not as good? Or maybe they're kind of convincing themselves, you know, with the game engine that we have to use, it's going to be extremely difficult to make a handling as good as Most Wanted or make cops as good as Most Wanted. I think that's the number one thing. If you think about physics, the physics in Most Wanted are fantastic. Like if you hit a cop car on the side, you can flip it, right? You can't do that in most Need for Speed titles. Like, go ahead, try to ram any cop from the side. You might get an instant takedown, but you won't see them flip over, right? Need for Speed needs to drop a lot. But you need to drop a lot of stuff and actually try being a new Need for Speed game without relying on nostalgia. Could work. Here's the thing. In my opinion, trying to make a game that has worked in the past is a winning strategy. The problem is what you're suggesting is more risky. At the end of the day, what I want to see first is a successful Need for Speed title. And then they can try to innovate. Because if you think about it, they've been trying to reinvent Need for Speed very many times over, with various levels of success. So, if they really want to make something new, at first they need to re-establish the trust with the community, right? They need to make the community believe that they can actually make something good before they can make something new. And honestly, I just look at successful stuff as references, which in my opinion, you know, you can never argue against success. Battlefield 6 is catering to the fans, right? It's giving them exactly what they want. And it's successful. In my opinion, there isn't really anything to argue about in that situation, right? They gave the fans what they wanted. And it's a good game too, so it sells a shit ton of copies. Right? In my opinion, it's super simple. And to be perfectly honest, most Need for Speed fans keep asking for the same thing anyways. Right? Need for Speed fans always ask for either an Underground remaster or a Most Wanted remaster. And honestly, anything in between coming out of Black Box. So if they don't do it, that's kind of their fault, because if you can't make something new exciting, you can definitely make something exciting that was good in the past. right? Same thing with this game. People were super excited because it was called Most Wanted, right? I straight up thought we're gonna get a better, or rather not better, another Most Wanted. I was ready for Most Wanted too when this game was announced. So could they be successful with a new Need for Speed? Sure, but then you get stuff like Unbound and nobody really likes it. And you cannot tell me that they tried too hard to appeal to the fans with Unbound. Because putting nitrous and an upgrading system into a Need for Speed is not good enough. And my number one thing I will say about any racing game ever, the handling is the most important thing. If driving in the game doesn't feel good, people are not gonna like your game. That in my opinion will never change. Racing games live and die on the handling model. You don't care about releasing bad games as long as not much effort went into it. That is true. If they spend little money on making something, then they're kinda okay if the game doesn't sell super well. That is kinda true. At some point, you know, EA is probably gonna be like, hey, if you can make Need for Speed cheaply, you can make another one. But at the same time, they also tell them how to make it, right? They will give them instructions to make the story like it was an Unbound, for whatever reason. And they didn't really have much online support when the game released. Like, that came later, which was great. I really liked all the updates that they made to Unbound. I actually never asked the Need for Speed developers, or even Theo, if he was asked about a character being modeled after him, even if it was a girl, right? He did go with her hairstyle for a really long time. I don't know if you remember the time when Payback was irrelevant and Theo went with that haircut. I mean, she was a bit of a puppet. If you see it that way, she was definitely a puppet of the house. So I guess she wasn't much on her own. Yeah, this is the moment where the confusion kicks in. Which Theo? The newborn that wasn't even born back then? Or the other guy with the YouTube channel? I think the biggest problem with the antagonists, right, with all the opponents in Payback, is that they had self-driving cars. Right? They had a bunch of tech in their car that drove for them and or made them faster. So I think they were to be taken less seriously, right? Because they weren't really drivers. They were co-pilots. Right, the car did the work and they were just sitting in there. They were basically driving a Tesla. So I think that also made them less fearful, or rather made them to be less feared. I think that makes sense. Probably need to open up the window soon. It's getting... Whoa! How the fuck did I just lose my grip? That's new. No! You failed to beat the McLaren. Is there actually a retry button here? Okay, so once you're in hiding, you can retry. Oh, there he is. Wow, he baited me. He baited me hard in this one. I gotta give it to him. Oh wow, this car is super grippy. That's awesome. That's awesome to drive. See what I mean? Shit. Probably one of the better crashes you can make in this game. Carrick Street was okay, but you know it wasn't anything earth-shattering. You know, kind of what Dragner said. You know, people's standards have dropped so hard. Whoa! Oh shit! Let's go. Got him. No. At least you can retry. Nice jump. Straight out of bounds. I wonder how long Criterion will keep working on Battlefield. Here's the thing. Put yourself into the shoes of Criterion. They got absolutely destroyed whenever they released anything Need for Speed related, right? And now they work on Battlefield and it's a huge success. So that's good for their ego, right? Like, if you ask someone, would you like to work on something that doesn't do well, or do you want to work on something that does really well? I think most people, regardless of franchise, would choose success. Like, my mentality is 100% like this. Success, to me, is motivation. I cannot get motivated unless, you know, success comes with it. The catfish apparently very hard, right? Either they refuse to use the successful formula, or they can't pull it off. That is usually the two sides of Need for Speed that we got, right? Either they couldn't recreate what Black Box did, or they tried something else and it didn't work. But it's kind of interesting to see how certain games spark certain debates. Right? Like, Most Wanted 2012 is definitely one of them. Where people are like, well, they could have just made another Most Wanted 05. And it would have made a lot more people more happy, and they probably would have sold a lot more game copies too. But the backstory for this was actually Criterion wanted to make a Most Wanted sequel. Then got stopped by EA's management. They basically said, well, we need a game much earlier, so you can't be ambitious. But this game should have taken at least 1 more year. But EA said no. You don't get that development time. Make something fast and easy. That's what we're gonna pay you for and nothing else. It's gonna be interesting to see what the new management is gonna do with EA. One thing that I hope for, obviously AI is going to be implemented everywhere. I just hope that it will make development more efficient and not more slop. Right? No more slop, please. I hope they can use AI in a way where it saves them time, so they have more time to, you know, work on the important stuff. Something like that, you know? What's going on? Those are the intros to all of the Most Wanted in this game. No, I didn't get the funny jump this time. It's a good ending, reminds me of Burnout Paradise. Can we acknowledge Criterion wanted us to destroy BMW in this game as well? I mean, they were definitely digging gold, because that was a DLC only car. But you had to buy the Legends pack, I think it was called. This car doesn't look like street racing. I mean, it kinda is. You wanna know why? It is not street legal. Right? This is a race car that isn't even track legal. This car is just straight up illegal everywhere. Right? This is not allowed anywhere. You always need special permission to use this car. It's too loud. And doesn't have the necessary lights to go on the road. So this car actually does make sense for street racing. Because it's illegal. Dude, this is so loud this will piss anyone off. Do you know how loud it is to be behind a Formula 1 car exhaust? Or a MotoGP exhaust? This is exactly what you're getting here. Like, there's no restrictions. There's no restrictions on this car whatsoever. Like, this will blast the eardrums if you're not careful. Damn, that was a hard hit. I jumped into the back of him. Oh wow, I have never been that fast that I jumped into this pillar. That is actually a first. Oh god. At the very least, they put the finish line before the crash, you know? And at least they give you an out. Can you imagine losing the race because you jumped into that thing? It's actually crashed out, I have to wait for a respawn. They got me anyways. Wait, turn around? Super Street the game. Oh yeah, that is true. Very, very similar crash. Very similar crash there, you're right. You know what's funny? I always thought it's called jackpot. I totally missed the point of that wordplay. I always thought it was jackpot. Right? Is it like a jackpot? You find a car, right? Can you imagine winning a car? That's a jackpot for me. But you jack in a car at a certain spot, and that's the jack spot. And I misread that for over a decade. I called them jackpot when I started streaming. At some point, one of you guys corrected me, and I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it for a pretty good while. And check off a car? I mean, that's what the knob is for, right? Like, people always refer to cars as, you know, female entities. I don't think that's the case. Oh, interesting. Ah! Hey, that's a problem. Isn't that what a car is supposed to have downforce? So this shit doesn't happen. It just flies straight into a wall. But this is actually a pretty fun area to race. You know, this is kind of what I'm missing, you know? It feels like the developers had fun making this area. But I want more of this. I want that feeling. I want that feeling. I wanna feel like they had fun making something. Whoa, I got him good. We gotta send this one to a restoration YouTuber. Crashed out and then put it into the water. By the way, in case you guys don't know, new Mad Monk has arrived and they accidentally ripped the packaging. But yeah, new Mad Monk is out. Same ingredients, but an improved flavor. The number one thing that I always notice is that it's different at first. Right, it's also good for me, it's just different. I wouldn't be able to say if I like the old one more or the new one. But yeah, texture is slightly different and I think it's a bit bigger.
That's what she said. Or he said.
I'm not sure which model I like more. You know, the one that removes the input lag or the one that makes me stop crashing all the time. Like in combination, they make the game so much better. But I think if I really had to choose one, I guess I would go for the handling mod. You know, right now I'm in a similar mood as I was with the release of Horizon 5. I mean, like I'm just in desperate need of something new, something that I can play for a while. You know, that is not completed super quickly. Inconvenient. This is the dumbest shit ever. Like, if there's any game at any point that needs an invisible wall, it's this part. Every single time you have to drive there, you're gonna make a jump, and you're always gonna jump out of bounds. And you have to go here because there's a checkpoint. Well, the most wanted cars are white, because it's not a blacklist. I think the developers tried to set a statement. No, those are the most wanted, that is not a blacklist. Oh. Yeah, we broke the physics. That didn't look normal whatsoever. Some events do flow super nicely. Really good track design. Also like when they put on the checkpoints in a way where you don't have to look at the minimap. In this game it wouldn't even help you, alright? The minimap is so zoomed in. If you try to drive by minimap, you're gonna get destroyed. But I say it's kinda awesome that I get to keep Need for Speed alive. And in many cases improve the original experience and share it with the world. So, shouts to you guys for watching on a regular basis, making this possible. Right, the stream is the number one reason why I'm here right now in this place and time. Oh wow, I'm actually stuck. That's rare. That's rare that the cops actually get you in this game. Until then, guys, sleep tight. Do come back tomorrow for more, and good night, hotshots. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Oh yeah, before I forget, check out the sponsors. You already know.